The moment I realized something was really wrong, I was standing in my own kitchen, staring at a half-eaten plate of spaghetti. Madison's plate, the one she had barely touched before rushing out the door with that fake, apologetic smile. Work emergency, babe. I'll make it up to you. I should have believed her. I should have wanted to believe her. But something in the way she grabbed her purse, too fast, too rehearsed, felt off. And then there was the perfume. Strong, overpowering. Not hers. Madison always smelled like vanilla and coconut. This was something sharper, muskier, something a man would wear. I sat there, staring at the cold spaghetti, while the thought crept in like a slow poison. She's lying to you. I pushed the plate aside and grabbed my phone. A part of me was screaming not to do it. That paranoid, desperate men go digging for dirt, and I wasn't that guy. But my hands moved on their own, opening our shared phone plan. I scrolled through her call logs, and there it was. One number, repeated, over and over, at all hours of the day, late at night, early in the morning. No name saved, just a number. I tapped it, copied it, pasted it into Google, and my stomach dropped. It was a local gym, one she didn't even have a membership at. I sat there, phone in hand, as a suffocating silence filled the house. The same house that used to be filled with laughter, with warmth, with us. I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. My heart was pounding in my ears, but my mind was clearer than it had been in months. I grabbed my keys. If she thought she was playing games, she had no idea who she was dealing with. The drive to the gym was a blur of streetlights and bad thoughts. My hands gripped the wheel, my mind racing through every possible scenario. Was she actually working out? Was this just some personal trainer she never mentioned? Or was I about to walk in on something I couldn't unsee? I pulled into the parking lot and killed the engine. It was nearly 10 p.m. The place should have been emptying out, but a few cars lingered. One, in particular, caught my eye. A sleek black BMW parked near the side entrance. Madison didn't drive a BMW. I sat there, watching the door, my pulse hammering in my neck. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Then, there she was. Madison stepped out of the gym, laughing. Head thrown back, body language loose and comfortable, too comfortable. And then I saw him, tall, built, that kind of cocky posture that said he knew exactly what he was doing. He walked beside her, close enough that their arms almost touched, close enough that if I hadn't been watching, I might have thought they were just two people leaving the gym at the same time. But then he reached out, just for a second, just a light touch on her lower back as they walked toward the BMW. But that second told me everything I needed to know. I didn't think. I got out of the car and moved before I even decided to. Maddie! Her head snapped up so fast you'd think I fired a gun. And the look on her face? Pure horror. Not surprise. Not confusion. Horror. The guy turned slightly, looking me up and down like I was nothing. Like I was an inconvenience. Madison took a step toward me, hands out like she was approaching a wild animal. Ethan, what are you doing here? What am I doing here? What doing here? I laughed. A sharp, humorless sound. That's funny. I was about to ask you the same thing. Who's this? I tilted my head at Mr. BMW, who didn't even have the decency to look uncomfortable. Madison hesitated, just for a second, but it was long enough. I felt it, that shift, that moment when your heart finally catches up to what your brain already knew. He's just my trainer. I stared at her, then at him, then back at her. Your trainer. At a gym you don't have a membership to. She blinked. I busted. She knew it. I knew it. We all knew it. The question was, what was she gonna do now? Madison's mouth opened, then closed. She looked at me, at the guy back at me, calculating. Not panicking. Not apologizing. Calculating. And that was the moment I realized. She had a plan for this. I wasn't dealing with a mistake. I wasn't dealing with some weak moment of temptation. I was dealing with a liar who had rehearsed her excuses. Ethan, please. She reached for my arm like she could physically pull me back into her web. Let's not do this here. Okay? We can talk at home. At home. I almost laughed. Oh, now you want to go home? Because last I checked, You had some urgent work emergency. I jerked my arm back, voice sharp enough to cut glass. So what happened? Did you finish your business meeting between sets? Or was it after? Her face twisted. Not with guilt. Not with shame. With annoyance. You're being ridiculous. She huffed, crossing her arms like I was the problem. I've been working with Caleb for months. You don't trust me? Trust you? I echoed, my blood going from a slow boil to a full eruption. Trust you? Madison, I just watched this dude put his hands on you like he's claiming you. And you think I should be worried about trust? Caleb, the so-called trainer, smirked. Smirked. That cocky, dismissive little twist of his lips like I was some clueless idiot throwing a tantrum. Like I was in his way. And Madison? She didn't look at me. She looked at him. Just for a second. Just a flicker of something. But I saw it. And suddenly, I knew exactly why she wasn't apologizing. Exactly why she wasn't crying or begging for forgiveness like some guilty wife caught in the act. Because she wasn't sorry. Because she never planned to be. Something inside me cracked. And for the first time in this entire nightmare, I felt something other than rage. I felt done. I took a slow step back, watching her, waiting. Hoping, maybe, that some part of her would snap out of whatever spell she was under and see me. But she didn't. She just sighed, rubbing her temple like I was exhausting her. Like I was some clingy husband who didn't get the hint. And then she dropped the final bomb. Ethan, maybe we should take some space. And just like that, I wasn't her husband anymore. I was an obstacle. Space. I said the word slowly, like I needed to taste it to believe it. Madison sighed again, acting like I was some irrational child throwing a tantrum. Ethan, let's not make this a big deal. I just think we need some time apart to what? I snapped. So you can sneak around without getting caught? So you don't have to lie to my face anymore. Jesus, she muttered under her breath, shaking her head like I was the problem, like she was the victim here. And that's when I saw it. The moment she realized she didn't have to pretend anymore, that she had already decided to replace me. Her eyes flicked to Caleb. Caleb, who was still standing there, arms crossed, watching like this was just another Tuesday for him. Like he wasn't the reason my marriage was going up in flames. And that's when I lost it. I turned to him, stepping in close, too close. You got something you want to say? He tilted his head, still smirking like he thought I wouldn't do anything. Not my business, man, he said, lifting his hands in mock surrender. This is between you and her. Like he hadn't been putting his hands on my wife. Like he hadn't been sneaking around behind my back for months. Like he wasn't the reason I was standing in this parking lot, watching my life burn. And Madison? She didn't stop me. She didn't push him away, didn't tell him to shut up, didn't even look guilty. She just let it happen. I let out a short, humorless laugh and turned back to her. Wow, you're not even trying to deny it anymore. Huh. Madison rolled her eyes. Rolled her eyes. I don't owe you some big dramatic confession, Ethan. We both know things haven't been great for a while. That hit me like a punch to the gut. Oh, so this is my fault now? My voice was sharp, raw. You've been sneaking around, lying, sleeping with this piece of... I never slept with him. She cut in, tone flat, bored. I barked out a laugh. Oh, so what? You two just hold hands after workouts? Maybe a little innocent stretching in the back room. Her face darkened. I'm not doing this with you. And just like that, she turned away from me and walked to Caleb's car. Not our car. Not toward me. To him. She pulled the door open, hesitated, then looked back at me over her shoulder. I'll come by tomorrow to get some of my stuff. Like this was already decided. Like she had already moved on. Then she got in the car. And Caleb? He gave me one last smirk before getting in beside her. The engine started. The headlights flashed. And before I could say another word, they were gone. I stood there, in that cold, empty parking lot, staring after them like an idiot. Like a man who just found out that his wife wasn't his wife anymore. I don't remember driving home. 1 second, I was standing in that parking lot, staring at the spot where my ex-wife, had just driven off with another man. The next, I was in my driveway, gripping the steering wheel so hard my fingers went numb. The house was dark, quiet, dead. I stepped inside, And it hit me all at once. The stench of a lie that had been festering for months. The couch where we used to sit together watching stupid reality shows. The kitchen where I cooked her favorite meals, thinking I was a good husband. The bedroom where she rejected me over and over, making me believe something was wrong with me. And now she was in his car, probably heading to his place. Like our life together had been nothing more than a bad lease she was finally breaking. I moved on autopilot, pacing through the house like I was looking for something. Proof, maybe, evidence, something to make it real. And then I saw it. Her closet, half full. She had already started packing. A neat little row of empty hangers stared back at me like an inside joke I wasn't in on. She'd been planning this for a while. I turned, scanning the room, my brain picking up on things I had ignored before. Missing shoes, fewer beauty products in the bathroom. No more of her junk cluttering my nightstand. She had been slowly disappearing from my life right in front of me. I sat on the bed, the same bed she used to sleep in beside me, and let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. And then my phone buzzed. A text. From Madison. I stared at her name on the screen for a long moment before opening it. I think it's best if I stay somewhere else tonight. We can talk tomorrow. Talk. Like I was some random ex-boyfriend she was letting down easy. Like she hadn't just destroyed our entire life together. I should have responded. Should have said something. But instead, I did the only thing that made sense. I grabbed my phone, opened our shared bank account, and drained every last cent. My hands didn't even shake as I did it. I sat there in the dark, the only light coming from my phone screen, and watched as every last dollar disappeared from our shared account into mine. Madison wanted to act like she was single? Fine. She could start by figuring out how to pay for her own damn life. The second the transfer was confirmed, I felt something shift inside me. A line crossed. I wasn't the heartbroken husband anymore. I was the man who just got screwed over and decided to screw back. I locked my phone and stood, my mind suddenly clearer than it had been in months. Madison had been planning this, sneaking around, playing her little games, thinking I was too blind to see it. Well, she was about to learn something real fast. I don't lose quietly. I stalked through the house, grabbing every single thing I knew was mine. My laptop, my watches, my documents, my clothes. Anything she hadn't already tried to erase herself from. And then I saw her wedding dress, still hanging in the back of the closet, covered in plastic like some kind of sick joke. I grabbed it and walked straight to the kitchen, pulled open the trash can, and shoved it inside. She didn't need it anymore, right? She had Caleb now. My phone buzzed again. Madison. I smirked. She must have checked the bank. I let it ring. Then I turned off my phone. Let her panic. Let her wonder. Let her feel just an ounce of what she had put me through. Because this was just the beginning. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of banging. Loud. Relentless. Like whoever was on the other side of my front door was ready to kick it down. I already knew who it was. I took my time getting up, stretching, cracking my neck like I had all the time in the world. Let her wait. When I finally swung the door open, Madison was standing there, looking like a woman on the edge of a breakdown. "Are you insane?" she snapped, shoving past me into the house. "Where's the money, Ethan?" I shut the door behind her and leaned against it, arms crossed. "Oh, you mean our money? Funny. I figured since you're moving on, you wouldn't need our bank account anymore." Her nostrils flared. "I have bills to pay, Ethan." "Not my problem," I shot back. "Maybe Caleb can cover it." The second his name left my mouth, her face twisted with pure, undiluted rage. "This is petty as hell," she hissed. "I get that you're upset. But, upset." I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. "Madison, you lied to me. You snuck around behind my back, planned your exit like a damn bank heist, and then had the audacity to roll up in some other man's car while I stood there like an idiot. And you think I'm just upset?" She folded her arms, jaw tight. "What did you expect me to do, Ethan? You stopped trying months ago." That hit harder than I wanted it to. I took a slow step forward. "Stop trying." My voice was dangerously low. "Madison, I planned trips. I changed my habits. I did everything to fix this marriage while you were out here playing house with your trainer." Her eyes flicked away, just for a second. "But it was enough. You know what?" I shook my head, exhaling sharply. I'm done talking. You came for the money? Too bad. You wanted to leave? Go. But you're not taking a single thing that belongs to me. Her expression shifted. I saw it, the exact second she realized she wasn't in control anymore. You don't get to make that decision, she snapped. Actually, I said, grabbing a stack of papers from the counter. I do. I tossed them in her direction. She caught them, flipping through our lease agreement, utilities, all in my name. Madison paled. Pack your stuff, Maddie, I said coldly, and get the hell out of my house. Madison's face morphed from shock to pure, unfiltered hatred. You're really doing this? She spat, gripping the papers like she wanted to rip them apart. You're kicking me out of our house? I crossed my arms, leaning against the counter.
No, Madison.
My house. Turns out when you spend years paying the bills and handling the paperwork while your wife is too busy working late, you end up with a house that's legally yours. Her mouth opened, then snapped shut. She knew she had nothing.
No levery. No excuses.
Just a reality check she didn't see coming. You are such a child, she sneered, tossing the papers onto the counter. This tantrum? This petty revenge? It just proves I made the right decision leaving you. I laughed, slow and dark. Leaving me? Madison, you were never going to leave. You were going to keep sneaking around, lying to my face, keeping me on standby while you figured out if Caleb was worth the risk. I leaned in, lowering my voice. Well, congrats. You gambled. And you lost. She bristled. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't. I scoffed. Then tell me, Madison, if I hadn't shown up last night, would you have come home? Would you have climbed into our bed, kissed me goodnight, told me you loved me? While still reeking of him, her face twisted, busted. For the first time since this started, she looked rattled, like she didn't expect me to see her for what she really was. Good. She wanted to lie, to cheat, to play dirty. Let's see how she liked it when she was the one losing. I straightened, nodding toward the bedroom. You have until tonight to get your stuff. After that, I'm changing the locks. She blinked. You wouldn't dare. I pulled out my phone, already dialing. Hey, John? Yeah, I need the locks changed today. As soon as possible. Madison's eyes went wide. You? She let out a frustrated growl. Fine. Fine. But don't think this is over, Ethan. You think you're screwing me over? You have no idea who you're messing with. I smirked. Funny. I was just about to say the same thing to you. She stood there, breathing hard, eyes locked onto mine. A final standoff. Then she turned, storming toward the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. I exhaled, shaking my head. Let her rage. Let her break things. Because no matter what she did next, she was already gone. Madison didn't pack her things right away. No, that would have been too easy. Instead, she tried one last game. For the next hour, I sat in the living room, scrolling through my phone, waiting for her to finish. But deep down, I knew she wasn't just packing. She was plotting. And sure enough, when she finally stepped out of the bedroom, she wasn't holding a suitcase. She was holding her phone, and she was smiling, smug, confident, like she had just pulled the ultimate checkmate. Well, she said, slipping the phone into her pocket. I hope you're happy, Ethan, because this is gonna cost you more than you think. I frowned. The hell are you talking about? She tilted her head, her voice mocking. Oh, you'll find out soon enough. And then, as if on cue, my phone buzzed. I glanced down. A notification. Bank account alert. Withdrawal of $5,000 from joint savings. My head snapped up so fast my neck cracked. What the? Madison grinned. You thought you were the only one with tricks? She crossed her arms. Maybe you locked me out of the checking account, but you forgot about the savings, didn't you? I saw red. Are you kidding me, Madison? I took a step forward, voice dangerously low. You stole from me? She shrugged. Consider it compensation for the emotional distress you've caused me. I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. Oh, that's cute. You think you're gonna walk away with my money and just be done? Her smirk didn't waver. What are you gonna do, Ethan? Call the cops? Tell them your poor little wife took money from your shared account. My jaw clenched, because she was right. Technically, She was still on that account, which meant she could take whatever she wanted, and the bank wouldn't do a damn thing. I had played fair. She hadn't. And that was my final wake-up call. I took a slow breath, forcing down the rage. Then I smiled, and Madison's smirk faltered. "What?" she asked, suddenly uneasy. I shook my head. "Nothing, Maddie. You just reminded me of something important." She frowned. "And what's that?" I took a step closer, lowering my voice to a whisper. "That I don't owe you mercy." Her face paled. Good. She wanted to play dirty? She had no idea what I had planned next. Madison thought she had one. That smirk. That smug little head tilt. She actually believed she had outplayed me. That stealing my money and walking out first made her the victor. But what she didn't realize, I was already 3 moves ahead. I let her have her moment. Let her think she had the upper hand. And then, when she turned to grab her suitcase, I spoke. "You might want to check your phone again, Maddie." She paused, her grip tightening around the handle. "What the hell are you talking about?" I leaned against the counter, completely calm. "Go ahead. Check your bank app. I'll wait." Her jaw clenched, but curiosity won. She yanked out her phone, thumb moving fast. Then her face dropped. I didn't need to see the screen to know exactly what she was looking at. Because while she was in the bedroom scheming, I was on my laptop closing every financial loophole she thought she had. That $5,000 she stole? Gone. Frozen. Locked down in a fraud investigation claim that would keep it in legal limbo for months. The credit cards she thought she still had? Cancelled. The emergency fund she had in a separate bank account? Transferred. Her safety net? Shredded. Madison's breath hitched, her eyes darting over the screen like she could somehow will the money back into existence. "You son of a..." She shot me a look of pure rage. "What did you do?" I smiled. "Oh, nothing much. Just ensured you leave this house with exactly what you deserve." Her nostrils flared. "You can't." "I can." I shrugged. "And I did." She let out a frustrated, almost panicked laugh. "Jesus, Ethan, you're acting like I murdered someone. People break up. Relationships end. It happens." I took a slow step forward, voice calm, cold, lethal. "This wasn't just a breakup, Madison. You humiliated me, lied to me, took me for a fool. And then you tried to rob me on your way out." I tilted my head. "You really thought there wouldn't be consequences?" For the first time, I saw it. A flicker of doubt. She had underestimated me. She had thought I'd be the passive, heartbroken husband, that I'd cry, beg, crumble. But instead, she was looking at a man who had just burned down every escape route she had. Her eyes darted to the door, like she was considering running. But she wasn't leaving yet, because Madison wasn't just a liar. She was a sore loser, and I could tell. She still had one last move left. The question was, how ugly was she willing to get? Madison stood there, gripping her phone so hard I thought she might snap it in half. Her breathing was sharp, her jaw tight, but she wasn't crying. No, Madison didn't cry when she lost. She lashed out. "You think you're so damn smart, don't you?" she hissed, eyes flashing with something venomous. "You think just because you cut off my money, you win?" I smirked. "I don't think, Maddie. I know. That did it." Something snapped inside her. Her mask slipped completely, and what was left wasn't sadness, wasn't regret. It was fury. "All right," she said, voice eerily calm. "You want to play dirty, Ethan? Fine." She unlocked her phone with a quick tap, scrolled through her contacts, then held it up, on speaker. 911. My stomach dropped. "What the hell are you doing?" I demanded. Madison met my eyes, smirking. "You'll see." A crisp voice answered on the other end. 911. "What's your emergency?" Madison gasped, voice shaking, fake tears flooding in instantly. "Hello? Please. I need help. My husband just attacked me." I froze. Every muscle in my body locked up as her words sank in. She wasn't just lying. She was trying to destroy me. He grabbed me, threw my stuff, he's screaming. "He won't let me leave." Madison's voice cracked. A perfect performance. An Oscar-worthy performance. My blood turned ice cold, because I knew how this looked. A woman sobbing. A domestic call. And me? A man with no witnesses, standing in our home with nothing but my word. My word against hers. And in situations like this, men like me lose. Madison locked eyes with me, her expression deadly smug. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was war, and she had just dropped a nuclear bomb. For the first time since this nightmare started, I was scared. Not of Madison. Not of losing the house, the money, or even the last few years of my life. I was scared because I knew exactly how this ended. A woman calls 911, says her husband attacked her.
No witnesses. No proof.
Just her word against mine. And men like me, we don't get the benefit of the doubt. Madison knew it too. That's why she was smirking. I needed to think fast. And then it hit me. The cameras. She had forgotten about the damn cameras. We had installed security cameras in the house 2 years ago after a break-in scare. Madison had hated them. Always complaining about feeling watched. She never bothered to check if they were recording. But I did. Every single day. And right now, that footage was the only thing standing between me and a felony charge. I took a slow breath, forcing my expression into something calm, controlled. Madison, I said, voice eerily smooth, you might want to hang up that call. She didn't flinch. Nice try. I shook my head, letting out a soft chuckle. No, really. I think you'll want to hear this before you go ruining your own life. She hesitated, just for a second. And that's when I went for the kill shot. I pulled out my phone, tapped the security app, and turned the screen toward her. Live playback. Crystal clear footage of her walking in, screaming at me, admitting to stealing my money, and, most importantly, me never touching her. Her eyes went wide. She knew. She had just lost. Completely. Checkmate. Madison's face twisted, cycling through every possible reaction. Denial, anger, desperation. She had no move left. I crossed my arms. You were saying? Her mouth opened, closed, and then, slowly, she lowered the phone from her ear. The line was still open. Mom. The dispatcher's voice crackled through the speaker. Are you in danger? Madison swallowed hard. Then, in the weakest, fakest voice I had ever heard, she muttered,
No, sorry.
I made a mistake, and hung up. Silence. The weight of her failure settled between us. She stared at me, hating that I had outplayed her, that I wasn't the fool she thought I was. I smiled. Now, pack your bags and get the hell out of my house. And this time, she did. No more words, no more fights, just the bitter, brutal reality that for the first time in her miserable, lying existence, she lost.